Okay, so here's our next activity, just to kind of unpack this idea of emotions. Okay, that in a little bit more detail. Now, the truth is there are many more emotions in this, but I'm just using these five to illustrate the process. Okay, for us today. So it says here there are a lot of emotions that can be useful in persuading people to do what we want. Copy and complete the table. So if you look down the side, we've got our key emotions: fear, pride, anger, joy, and patriotism. Okay, so your job is to illustrate with an image. So I've done the first little image of fear. So there we go. Some of you looking a bit scared. How would you illustrate pride, anger, joy, patriotism? Now I've got no problems with you using emojis um, or symbols to represent the emotions, but I just want you to think then. Now, if it means you need to look up what the emotion is or talk to somebody, that's exactly what I want you to do, to find out a little bit about these emotions. So what is pride, anger, joy, patriotism? Now, then what I want you to do is to see if you can come up with any linked emotions, any similar emotions or emotion words linked to that. So fear, okay, is linked sometimes to that feeling of being scared, anxious, terrified, petrified. Now, what I'm hoping through that process is you'll see that actually there's a scale, that fear is this abstract emotion, this abstract noun, and underneath it, there are a scale of different words: nervous, anxious, terrified, petrified, paralyzed with fear. There's lots of different words that are linked to that key emotion. So just give yourself time to list some of them. Now, what is our reaction or the reader's reaction and response then if we make them feel afraid? So when you get to this final column, reaction and response, I want you to think in the context here of persuasive speaking. Now, what I mean by that is, at home, if I saw a spider, I would experience a degree of fear. Now, I'm much better. I've been mastering this fear for a long time. And my reaction would be shock. I'd be temporarily frozen, but I would actually be able to get a cup and a piece of paper and deal with it. However, the other day a spider did appear on my son's face in the car on the ferry, and I screamed and I jumped out of the car and I ran away till he dealt with it. Okay, so that wasn't the best response. But so when a speaker is trying to make us feel afraid as an audience, how does he want us to respond? Because actually he doesn't want us to get up and run away, because that would kind of cut his speech short and that would be a bit embarrassing. Suddenly, a speaker made us all so afraid that we got up and ran away. So what do you think the reaction, the response is to fear? Now, often fear can be used to bring people together. Okay, if we all suddenly feel afraid of the same thing, it can bring people together. So it can create what we call a collective, a group response, like we're all in this together, we've all got to do something. It can make us do something. It can be a catalyst to do something if we're afraid. So rather than do nothing, it could simply be that the reaction there is it makes us do something. Fear does often make us do something. Okay, it makes us come together. It can make us want to do something to make us feel brave, to stop us feeling so scared. Okay, so when it gets to the reaction and response, you're imagining there that you are the audience, or how does the speaker, or what does the speaker want the audience to do? How does he want us to react and respond? Okay, so pride. Can you find a picture of pride? Can you find any linked emotions or words to pride? Now, I've done this part of the table for us. You can always add to the bits I've done. So I've said a reaction or response. Often with pride, it's to create a reaction where we desire to protect or promote something. So, for example, if I was really proud of something I've done, I might promote that. I might be like, woo, look at what I've done. I'm amazing. But if I was really proud of my car, I might want to protect it. So sometimes it can be about context and just thinking. So this is really about you guys thinking. Okay, I've done nothing for anger. What image would you choose? What linked emotions? What reaction or response? Now, it's interesting because sometimes what we might think of as a reaction isn't going to be what a speaker wants you to do. So if I'm angry and I ask my 8-year-old son, sorry, and he's angry, actually he's 10 now, slip. If he's angry, his response is he kind of wants to punch something in the nose, or he wants to do something physical. But actually, if you're making a speech and you incite or encourage 100 people in a room to get angry and want to punch something, that's actually a bit dangerous. So what might a speaker be doing? What reaction response might they want? So joy, for joy, all you've got to do is find a picture. So a linked emotional word to joy is happy or happiness. We might want the audience to smile, to celebrate with us, to feel excited. Okay. And then patriotism, I've put a linked emotional word there as pride. So it might be a similar response than you've got in pride. So guys, just press pause and copy and complete that table. Okay, so linked emotions and words to pride could be confidence, because when you've got pride, you actually feel quite confident. Sometimes self-confident, confidence, proud, like you can do anything. Yeah, pride often puffs us up, makes us feel elevated, makes us feel happy. Okay, and then that in turn creates the reaction response. We're either going to want to protect or promote something. So we often see this with political parties, creating a sense of pride in your country. We then want to protect it and promote it, creating a sense of pride in your score. You want to promote your score. You want to protect it. You want to take care of it. So the reaction response can sometimes be a phrase, take care of something. Do something to keep something safe. Okay, so anger, can't see your image, but linked words might be brilliant. Anger might be linked to the emotions of hate, feeling stressed, frustrated, wound up, angry, furious. Now, I don't know if any of you got it, but actually anger can be linked to fear. Okay, so linked emotions words. So hopefully you've got one or two there. And our reaction when we feel angry, it often does what we call galvanize us. It makes us want to do something. It brings people together and it galvanizes us. And it can be a catalyst to do something. We want to take action. Okay, when we're angry, we want to take action. Now, sadly, often we want to take action because there'll be somebody or something we're angry at. And we often want to take action against the thing that we're angry at. Okay, so that can create maybe a reaction response. Now, in a healthy way, we might protest. You could have put your reaction and response as a protest. Is we want to do something, we want to challenge something, we want to confront something. Okay, so that could be our reaction, our response. Joy, okay, I love joy, it's one of my favorite words. Joy is linked to feeling happy, happiness, jubilant, excited. Okay, and that might create just a simple reaction. Your audience might smile, they might celebrate with you, they might support you. It might encourage your audience to keep going. They feel happy. Now, patriotism. Did you work out what that one was? Yeah, patriotism is where you feel a very particular strong set of emotions for your country. Okay, so it's very much linked in with how you feel about your country, that feeling of pride. Okay, so that might again create the desire to protect and promote what we love. Okay, brilliant. So that's the feeling. So how can a speaker appeal to those or create feelings? And the two ways we're going to just look at: anecdotes and emotive language. So guys, I don't want you copying this screen word for word. That's always my big disclaimer. Let me read it to you and then you'll just have a chance to record a definition in your own words. Okay, so anecdotes. An anecdote is a story. Now, as a teacher, I'm terribly anecdotal. My year nines that have worked with me this year will know I love telling a good story. Okay, they can be short, maybe interesting, depends on the story I'm telling. Okay, but I always intend to be interesting, or funny. Okay, and they often are an event or occurrence that has, now it says here may have, really your anecdote should have happened to you, but some speakers play with that a little bit. Now, the reason anecdotes are so good is because they create a bridge between the topic and the speaker, but it's an emotional bridge. Anecdotes really are about disclosure. I'm telling you something about me, and that makes me emotionally vulnerable and interesting to you. Okay, so for example, in a speech persuading people to give up smoking, the speaker might tell a sad story about a loved one who suffered illness due to smoking. So that's creating a bridge between the topic of smoking, the speaker himself, but also really it's then creating a bridge to the emotional appeal of the listener. We get those moments where we go, oh no. It creates an emotional response. So anecdotes show that the persuader is a real human being with real life experience, thoughts and feelings. So emotional vulnerability, seeing somebody's emotional side, actually can again add to their ethos. We trust people, we're trusting them more. Okay, now emotive language is where we deliberately use language to make people feel strongly about something. Okay, so emotive language is language that attempts to stir the emotions in the reader. So when we're crafting a speech, there's a point at which a writer can say, there's a word, but actually, can I find a more emotive one? So if I said to you, I felt a bit nervous the other day versus I felt petrified, okay, I've upped the ante of my language and I'm making a more of an emotive appeal. Suddenly you're really clear that it's linked to the emotion of fear. I've upped the ante. That's a very strong emotion. Okay, so what I want you to do there is just pause. We are going to see this in context, but just write down that an anecdote's a story. They can be funny and short. They create a bridge between this topic and the speaker. Just choose some of those keywords. An emotive language, that's a bit shorter. Okay, language used to make people feel something, stirs the emotions. Okay, so just allow yourself time to do that. Okay, guys, so just to put that back into practice, we're taking it back to good old William's speech. Okay, so we're going to see if we can find any evidence of pathos. So is he using any anecdotes, any emotive language? Is he trying to create a bridge between the topic and himself? And then himself and the audience's emotions. Okay, so as we do this, I know I keep using the word circle it on the speech. I don't know what your tech is, but definitely list them. So I don't know if you just want to put a little note in your book and just write pathos, because as we go through, we're going to just pick up some ideas and I'm just going to ask you to write them down because we're going to use them in a minute. Okay, so Your Excellencies, Ministers, ladies, gentlemen, welcome to London. It is heartening to see so many of you here today. Right, guys, right away in that opening clause, that opening part up into the comma, can you see the emotive word he's chosen? Brilliant. Circle heartening or write it down. He's immediately making an emotive choice. Okay, he's creating a bridge between him and the audience at an emotional level. Okay, so united by a common desire to end the illegal wildlife trade. I have just returned from a visit to Nambia, Tanzania, and Kenya. I saw some tremendous work. Guys, are you seeing it? He's telling us his anecdote, his story. So, I have just returned. So, you don't need the whole phrase. I saw. Okay, so we've got an anecdote and emotive language, and we've only just begun. So, he's definitely appealing to the audience's pathos. Okay. I saw some tremendous work being done to intercept the trade and keep animals as safe as possible in their natural habitat. I also learned about the absolute importance of community-led conservation so that people value wildlife as an economic resource. Now, guys, there is some emotive vocabulary here. Can you see it? Now, if we imagine that emotive is where you vamp up, you amplify your vocab choices to appeal to emotions. And remember, we saw from that emotion banks, it's not always about negative. Can you see his emotive words there that are creating a sense of positivity? Yes, tremendous. Okay, tremendous is an emotive word choice. Now, also here, absolute importance. So emotive vocab can also be vocab that's emphatic, that stresses the importance of something. Okay, so some of the rhinos I saw are under such threat they have more bodyguards than I do. So actually there is combined the emotion of humour with anecdote, because he's saying he's got bodyguards. Wouldn't it be better though if the demand for rhino horn dropped to the extent that they didn't need anyone to protect them at all? Now, guys, we've got an example of pathos, 3 examples of pathos actually. We've got several anecdotes. Now, we've done this before, guys. You can either now read on and look at the next 2 parts of the speech without me. Okay, so you can just do it for yourself and see if you can create your own list, because we're going to work towards our final task. Or, guys, you can continue just to work with me. All right, so it's up to you. You can pause and look at this page and do it for yourself to build up your own skills, or you can look with me. Okay, so I'm just scanning through now, guys. So we're looking for any of that emotive language. So, not yet. Okay, our guy is really, this is where he was hitting us with the facts and opinions. Yep, so just scanning through, nothing on that page. Okay, now thank you, we could argue. He's beginning to be emotive, he's appealing to people's emotions. Okay, but despite the progress, we know this is no time for complacency. We must amplify our voices, we must listen. So actually towards the end, he reintroduces some emotive vocabulary. Okay, so guys, just to end today's lesson, you can see here we've got this task to copy and complete. Prince William effectively creates pathos when he says, in this line, he's appealing to a people's sense of. I find this particularly effective because, so guys, I want you to think about some of those examples we've identified and complete your task.